Hi students, myself Maheshwari from CSC department. I belongs to MVR College of Engineering and Technology. I deal the subject operating system for 3rd BTech first semester. Today I start the topic which is nothing but CPU scheduling. So in this CPU scheduling which is nothing but whatever the processing having the time to execution the process. So that particular time we can calculate it by using of scheduling methodologies. So in these scheduling methodologies we can learn the objectives of CPU schedulings are basic concepts of CPU scheduling and what are the scheduling criteria and scheduling algorithms. So what are the thread schedulings involved in this CPU scheduling and multiple processor scheduling, real-time CPU scheduling, operating system, examples and evaluation of algorithms. So these objectives we learn in this CPU schedulings. The major objective of CPU scheduling is the CPU scheduling introduction for the basis for multi-programmed operating systems and to describe various CPU scheduling algorithms and evaluation of criteria for selecting the CPU scheduling algorithms for a particular system to examine the scheduling algorithms for several operation systems. So those objectives are in scheduling algorithm we can learn in this. Some major basic concepts of scheduling CPU schedulings are here the maximum CPU utilization obtained with multi-programming and CPU and input output burst cycle. So process execution consists of a cycle of CPU execution and input output wait. The CPU burst time will be followed by input output burst. So the burst time we can calculate as, so next slides we can learn how it will be calculated. And CPU burst distribution is maintained certain. See here the picture is like this. In this picture the loading and storing read from file. So by using a CPU burst, for waiting of IO it will be a IO burst. So IO which is nothing but input output burst. So whatever the processor involving in that we can call as CPU burst, and whatever the processor involving for waiting of input output, that is called as a input output burst time. So the operations will be performed by using of CPU, then we can call as CPU burst as simply, and the operations will be performed by IO wait, input output wait, that we can call as a input output burst. See this is the slide of program of burst times. See here there is a, in x-axis there is the burst duration and y-axis it is a frequency. So burst which is nothing but the completion of task of program, that we can call as a burst time. So see here the graph will be gradually increased and decreased by using of duration of milliseconds. So based on the timing of burst of program, that graph will be implemented. And CPU scheduler. In this CPU scheduler, the short-term scheduler selects from among the process is ready, those are queue, and delegates the CPU to one of them. Queue may be ordered in various ways. The CPU scheduling decision may take place when the those processes are four types, that is switches from running to wait state, switches from running to ready state, switches from wait to ready state, and terminate. So those four processes involving in CPU scheduling decisions to may take place when the process is executed. So if the scheduling will be used the process states, those process states we learn in previous section. Those are new, ready, running, waiting, terminated. Those are the states. And in this CPU scheduler, under 1 and 4 are non-primitive, and all the other scheduling is primitive. So here the consider access to shared data, consider permission while in a kernel mode, and consider interrupt occurs during the crucial OS activities, operating system activities, will all are in scheduling of primitive CPU scheduler. So what does mean the dispatcher? In this dispatcher module gives control of the CPU, the process selected by the short-term scheduler. This involves switching context, switching to user mode, jumping to the proper location in user program, and to restart the program. And dispatch latency means the time it taken for the dispatcher to stop one process and start another running. And the scheduling criteria of CPU schedulings are: first one is CPU utilization. In this CPU utilization, it keeps the CPU as busy as possible. And throughput, in throughput of process that complete either execution per time unit, that we can call as throughput. And turnaround time means the amount of time to execute a partial particular process, that we can call as a turnaround time. And waiting time, which is nothing but the amount of time a process has been waiting in the ready queue, that we can call as a waiting time. And response time means amount of time is taken from when a request was submitted until the first response is produced, not output. For time sharing environment, those are the scheduling criteria. Mostly the CPU scheduling criteria involved in those factors, that is CPU utilization, throughput, turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. The name itself, CPU utilization, means it will busy as possible as. Throughput means the completion of execution per the time unit. Turnaround time means the name itself, the particular process amount of time to execute. And waiting time means the time amount of time process been waiting in a ready queue. And response time means it give the request and submitted until the first response is produced. So those are the scheduling criteria. And scheduling algorithm optimization criteria is maximum CPU utilization, maximum throughput, minimum of turnaround time, and minimum wait time, minimum response time. Here the CPU of maximum busy will be occurred, so the maximum CPU utilization will be used for optimization criteria. And throughput, the completion of each process will be done in this optimization criteria. And minimum turnaround time will be taken, and minimum waiting time, the waiting time is very less, and minimum response time. So whatever the request will be sent the processor, so the resources will be provided by the minimum of response time. See here, there are number of scheduling algorithms. Those are first come first serve, shortest job, shortest remaining time, and priority based. So those all are the scheduling algorithms. Here we learn the FCF, which is nothing but first come first serve scheduling. See this example. Here I take the processing time is three process. Those processes are P1, P2, and P3. And the burst time is P1 for 24, P2 for 3, P3 for 3. Okay, see this example carefully, it is very important to you. Here I can create the Gantt chart by using of the process arrival order. The order is P1, P2, P3. Here I can create the Gantt chart by using the order of P1, P2, and P3. So here I can given the burst time, which is nothing, P1 equal to 24, the burst time P2 equal to 3, and the burst time P3 equal to 3 burst time. Okay, see here I said the first come first serve. The order I can given is P1, P2, P3. So which order will be followed? Whatever the process arrival order will be given, that depends on the Gantt chart. Here the P1 will enter into first serve. So P1 arrival initially it is a 0, and it will be start arrival time of P4. Okay, so P1 and the burst time, the P1 completed time is P4. Okay, and next the sequence is P2 having the 3. So 3 means initially P2 have 24, that 24 will be added to 3, so then it will be in 27. Okay, clearly 24 plus 3 equal to 27. So P3 equal to 3. So the initial of P3 is 27, arrival time of P3 is 27, and P3 burst time is P23 plus, 27 plus 3 equal to 30. So clear? Is it clear? See keen observation here. See here, I start P1 processor. In the P1 processor having the burst time is 24. So initially it will be taken as 0. So 0 to 24 the P1 will be executed. So P1 to P2 is executed, and P2 having 3. So 3 means here I taken, so the arrival time of P2 is 24 milliseconds. Then it will be in added 24 plus 3 equal to 27. See here. And next P3 burst time is 3. So 27 plus 3 equal to 30. So 30. So the waiting time of P1 is 0 and the waiting time of P2 is 24 and the waiting time of P3 is 27. Okay, here we can calculate the average time. So how we calculate the average time? See here, the waiting time of addition divided by how many process we can take in, that is the formula. So average time we will be calculated as 0, the waiting time of 0 plus P2 waiting time is 24, okay, plus P3 waiting time is 27 divided by how many process we have taken? 3 process. So 3. The answer is 17 milliseconds. So in this first come first serve, we can use the 3 processor. For using of worst case of time, we can calculate the arrival time like this. So this is the example of first come first serve. So here see the next second one. So which is nothing but first come first serve scheduling. Here the arrival in order is P2, P3, P1. This is the order, the arrival order. So the first serve come, which one is first come? Here the 3 process, P2 will come first, then after P3, then after P1. So because the arrival process is given like this. So the Gantt chart schedule is given as, firstly the P2 will be in serve, then after P3 and P1. So here the P2 having initially 0 and P2 I can given the order P2 equal to 3, P3 equal to 3, P1 equal to here. So P2 equal to 3, P3 equal to 3, P1 equal to 24. Okay, here P2 will be executed first to serve first. P2 equal to 0 initially we taken and P2 equal to 3. Okay, so next P3 whatever burst time we can given in the previous example, 3. So 3 plus 3 equal to 6. See here. Then after P1 will be executed of 6 plus 24. So P1 equal to 24, P2 equal to 3, P3 equal to 3. So this is the resources of burst time we can given in the previous example. That example will be followed the sequence change of arriving order, that is P2, P3, P1. So the P2 will be in initially 0 and it will be burst time in 3. Okay, so 3 and P3 is 3. So 3 plus 3 equal to 6 and P1 means 24. So 24 plus 6 equal to 30. Okay, so the waiting time of P1 is, the P1 waiting time is 6, okay, and P2 is 0 and P3 is 3. Then the average time we will be calculated as 6 plus 0 plus 3 divided by how many processes we can take in here, those process. So here we taken 3 process divided by 3 equal to, so the answer is available time is 3 milliseconds. It is much better than previous case. So within the 3 milliseconds it will be completed the task. So consider the CPU boundary and many of input output boundary processes like this. Shortest job first. The name itself which will be completed as the shortest time. So that will be doing as a first. So it will be based on CPU burst time. So associated with each process, the length of its next CPU burst, use this length to schedule the process within the shortest time. The SJF is optimal and it gives the minimum average time for a given set of process. The difficulty is known. The length of the next CPU request could ask the user. So this is the CPU scheduling based on the shortest job first scheduling. So example of CPU scheduling used on SJF which is nothing but shortest job first. Here the processes are taken. So those processes are P1, P2, P3 and P4. The 4 processes here taken, and the burst time will be taken as 6 for P1, 8 for P2, 7 for P3 and 3 for P4. The shortest job scheduling chart will be here. See here. So in this process, which one is shortest burst time? P4 is shortest burst time because the burst time is less. So that is 3. So firstly we execute P4. So initially it will be in started arrival time is 0 and burst time is 3. So the 3 will be executed, which is nothing but P4 process. Then after, which one is less time of burst time in those process? Here the 6 is the less. 6 is P1. So P1 means here 3 plus 6 equal to 9. Okay, and next then which one is less time? P2. So P2 is less time. So P2 having the burst time is 7. 7 plus 9 equal to 16. And so here P4 is completed and P3 is completed, P1 is completed, remaining P2. So P2 having the burst time is 8. So 16 plus 8 equal to 24. Okay, so here we can calculate the average time of P1, P2, P3 and P4 is, see here, P1 initial time is 3, so 3, and P2 initial time is 16, so 16, and P3 initial time is 9, so 9, and P4 initial time is 0, 0, so 0, okay. Zero. So divided by how many processes we taken here? How many processes we taken here? 4 processes. P1, P2, P3 and P4. P4 processes divided by 4. That is equal to 7 milliseconds. So this is the shortest job first serve. This is the example. All of you understand. Again I repeat, here we taken the 4 processes. Those processes are P1, P2, P3 and P4. The burst time is P1 for 6, P2 for 8, P3 for 7, P4 for 3. So the shortest job first means the name itself which having the shortest burst time, that will be do for serve CPU scheduling. That is the main theme of shortest job first. In these 4 process, which one is shortest? P4 is shortest because the burst time is 3. So that purpose here the P4 will be executed first. So the arrival time is 0 and waiting and burst time is 3. So 3 will be here. Okay. Then which one is shortest remaining? P1. So P1 having 6. 6 means 3 plus 6. So it added 3 plus 6. The average time is the arrival time is P1 for 3 and burst time is 9. Okay, all of you understand. So this is the completion time is 9. At the same time P1, P4 executed, P1 executed, remaining P2, P3. Which one is smallest? P3 is smallest. So P3 will be executed first. Okay. So based on this example, we can calculate it as the shortest job first for CPU scheduling. And determination of length of next CPU burst can only estimated the length should be similar to previous one. Then pick a process with the shortest predicated next CPU burst time. Here the CPU length previously burst time using exponential averaging Tn equal to actual length and n equal to CPU burst. So Tn plus 1 equal to predicated value for the next CPU and it having the burst time will be calculated as defined as Tn minus 1 equal to a Tn plus 1 minus a of Tn. Here the n is CPU burst time and Tn is actual length and a comma 0 a comma a is the constant will be taken to previous one of length and a is less than a is 0 less than equal to a less than equal to 1. So the commonly a set to 1 by 2 and primitive version called shortest remaining time first. So here the determination of shortest remaining time first will be used the algorithm in this CPU burst of actual length and n length. So based on this shortest remaining time first it will be calculated. This is the prediction of next process burst time. Here the time will be taken and the burst time and gas chart will be taken here T1 and Ti. Here the values will be given. Based on the values the graph will be changed of CPU burst time. See in picture you can understand. Examples of exponential averaging. Here a equal to 0 initially, Tn plus 1 equal to Tn. Recently history does not count. So whatever the recent will be occur, that does not will be count. If a equal to 1 then Tn plus 1 and a equal a comma Tn, only the CPU burst time counts. And if the expanded formula we can get see here Tn plus 1 a Tn plus 1 minus a of a and Tn plus so on. So these formula will be moved in this is the algorithm to expand the arriving. So since the a and 1 minus a are the less equal of 1, each successful terms has less weight than the precedent. So example for shortest remaining time. Example for shortest remaining time. Here the 4 process will be taken P1, P2, P3 and P4. So the process arrival time is 0, 1, 2, 3 and burst time is 8, 8, 4, 9, 5. So P1 of arrival time is 0 and burst time is 8. P2 arrival time is 1 and burst time is 4. P3 arrival time is 2 and burst time is 9. P4 arrival time is 3 and burst time is 5. See here. And the primitive Gantt chart will be calculated. So here the shortest job first will be calculated. In this the initially P0 is 0. So initially P0 is 0 and here the burst time is 8. So which one is shortest in this remaining? The P2 arrival time is 1. So up to 1 millisecond the P2 will be arrival to CPU. So here the P2 will be arrival to CPU. So P2 having the burst time is 4. So when compared to all the processor, 4 is less. So 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1 equal to 5. Okay, 4 plus 1 equal to 5. Okay, next P2 will be completed, and next in remaining P1, P3, P4 is there. In this, or which one is smallest burst time, which is nothing but 5, which is nothing but P4. So P4 will be in shortest remaining first. So which remaining burst time, here P4 will be taken. This P4, the burst time is 5. 5 plus 5 equal to 5 equal to 10. Okay, and next P4 will be completed, and remaining P1 and P3, which one is shortest? Here the 8 value will be in, here the P1 will be completed 1. So 8 minus 1 equal to 7. The burst time of P1 is now in 7. Okay, so P1 is 7 and P3 is 9. So the smallest is P1, so P1 will be executed. So P in the process schedule, so P1 in is equal to 7. Why? Because here the burst time is 8, but here 1 millisecond will also completed. So 8 minus 1 equal to 7. So 7. So 10 plus 7 means 17. Next remaining is P3. P3 burst time is 9. So 17 plus 9 equal to 26. So this is the shortest remaining time first serve. So here arrival time will be calculated as, see here, the P1 arrival time is 10. Okay, and here P1 arrival time is minus 1. 10 minus 1. Okay, and next P2 arrival time is 1, and the arrival time 1 minus 1 plus, and P3 arrival time is 17. 17 minus arrival time of 2. Arrival time of 2. 2 plus P4 arrival time is 5. 5, and P4 arrival time what they given 3. 5 minus 3 divided by how many process we taken? 4, equal to 26 by 4, that equal to 6.5 milliseconds. This is the example for shortest remaining time first. And priority scheduling. The name itself, priority scheduling, will have the priority number associated with each process. The CPU scheduling is allocated the process with the highest priority, that is primitive or non-primitive. The shortest job first is a priority scheduling, where the priority is inverse of the prediction next CPU burst time. Here the problem is starvation. In this, starvation minus low priority process may never execute, and the solution is aging. My aging is as the time of progress increases the priority of the process. Example of the priority, here the process burst time and priority will be given. The process is P1, P2, P3 and P4, P5. 5 process here we can take it. In these 5 process, our burst time will be in P1 for 10, P2 for 1, P3 for 2, P4 for 1, P5 for 5. And the priority will be given 3, 1, 4, 5, 2. Okay. Here the first priority will be given. So the name itself, the scheduling will be done based on the priority. The priority will be in Gantt chart. So the first priority we can given is 1, that is P2. So initially it start with 0 and P2 is first priority of burst time is 1. And next priority of P5. So priority of P5 having the priority is 2. So the burst time is 5. So 5 plus 1 equal to 6. Okay, and next P1 is having the priority of 3. So 6 plus 10 equal to 16. And next P3 P3 is fourth priority. So 6 plus 16 plus 2 burst time 2 equal to 18. At last P4 fifth priority. So 18 plus 1 equal to 19. Okay, the average time is calculated. P1 arrival time, P2 arrival time, P3 arrival time, P4 arrival time divided by how many process here we taken? 5. So that is 8.2 milliseconds. Next, round robin. In this round robin, the name itself round robin. It can process, gets the small unit of CPU time. So it having the quantum time of Q. It will be usually taken as 10 to milliseconds, and the time interrupts will be given by the process of n process, and quantum time is Q, and it can checks the CPU checks. So those time interrupt every quantum to schedule next process. If the performance is Q large, Q small, so Q large is P4, Q small must be in the respect of context switch, another overhead to high. So see this example. Here we can take the three processes. Those processes are P1, P2 and P3. The burst time will be having the P1 process 24, P2 is 3, P3 is 3 burst time. So the Gantt chart will be taken. Here the quantum time will be taken as 4. The quantum time is taken as 4. Here P1 will be in 3, so the 4, and P2 also 3. P1 is 3, P1. So here the P1 quantum time is 4. Quantum time is 4. Each time slot is 4. So P1 is 0 to 4 and P2 means 3. So 4 is less than greater than 3. So then 3 will be taken. So 4 plus 3 7. The P2 is completed and P3 is 3. The burst time is 3. So 7 plus 3 10. P3 also completed. P1 not completed, P2 and P3 is completed because the time slot is lesser than the burst time here. So remaining the here P1 having only 4 burst time will be completed and remaining of 20 wheels remaining. So that will be in round robin in process. Here the P1 will be having 4. So then 10 plus 4 equal to 14. So and next P1 having 4. So until it completing the process can do the repeatedly. See here the example of and P1 22 and P1 26 and P1 30. So this is the up to completion of 24 burst time the round robin will be circulated. Okay, and typically higher average turnaround than SAF and better response. Q should be large compared to context switching time, and Q usually 10 milliseconds to 100 millisecond, context switching of less than 10 milliseconds. So this is the example, and this quantum time and context switching is the quantum time is 12 and context switching is 0. Here the process is 10. Okay, here 0 to 6 and 10 and or 0 to 10 the context switch is 9. So and here this is the CPU scheduling algorithms. In the CPU scheduling algorithms, how it can be applicable and what is the arrival time and what is the burst time we learn here, and how it will be scheduled. It will be based on first come first served, shortest job first, shortest remaining time, and priority, round robin. Those 5 all we learn here in this section. Again you can understand, again see this PPT and you can understand easily, and whatever I can given in this PPT based on the examples So it will be easy to understand to all of you students. Thank you, students.